Charlie Chaplin's City Lights is a film critiquing capitalist structure and the notion that still exists to this day that rich people are rich because they've done something good, poor people are poor because they've done something bad. Chaplin himself performs as the Tramp, a lovable doofus so bumbling and so poor that his first appearance involves him having fallen asleep on a soon-to-be unveiled statue. The Tramp is also one of the kindest people in the world. The court jester archetype, the truth teller, was the only person in the medieval court who could genuinely critique the people in power. That's the story anyway, and while I don't know if it's true or not, the point still stands. Exaggerated comedic performances were used to speak truth to power in a way that allowed the people speaking them to maintain the veneer of, oh, it's just comedy, so of course we can't be put to death for this, and so they weren't put to death for it. Chaplin was famously very political. Just like a court jester telling off the kings he served, he was no stranger to mixing his ideas and social commentary into his work. This film is certainly no exception, portraying how the Tramp gets constantly shat on by everyone just because he's poor. There was a popular idea in those days, one that persists to this day at least to some degree, that people are in bad situations due to wrongdoings of either them or their families. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" "Neither this man nor his parents sinned," said Jesus. John, chapter 9, verses 1 through 3, New International Version. Ideas like that date back millennia, and in this film, Charlie Chaplin tears them down completely. The Tramp is one of the kindest people in the world. The early scenes of this film all involve him helping people. He's kind to the blind flower girl who everyone else passes by without a moment's thought. He saves the drunk aristocrat who is about to drown himself. He does all he can to save the flower girl and her mother from being evicted due to their inability to pay rent. He's poor, but that's not some kind of punishment for wrongdoings. He was just dealt a bad hand. The same is true of the flower girl. She's blind in a world made for those with vision. She's poor in a world made to serve the rich. She needs help in a world that prioritizes individuality. But just as the Tramp was one of the only people to see her as human, she is one of the only people to see him the same way. Those two are some of the kindest people in the world, while the wealthy people with whom the Tramp interacts vary between so dumb they can't remember their friends between when they're drunk versus sober, and actively vindictive for no reason. Sounds about like real life. Despite the lack of spoken dialogue, Chaplin's performance, as well as those of his co-stars, conveys all of this clearly. Everything is heightened, and I hope the clips I've been showing throughout this video can demonstrate that clearly. But in that exaggerated performance, we see the deeper emotional truth of who these people are. The Tramp and the flower girl are kind to one another, and clearly have a strong connection, be it romantic or platonic. The eccentric millionaire is a fool who can't remember who he's friends with after sobering up, but at least while under the influence he's kind. The Tramp winds up in a boxing match to get money, and while he does end up getting beat, he's still trying his best to help out the flower girl. The Tramp is a deeply tragic figure. He was dealt a bad hand in life, and he's stuck under the boot of a ruling class in a society that exists to make it nearly impossible for meaningful socioeconomic change. Every time he tries to help someone, it ends up biting him in the ass. Near the end of the film, he gets sent to prison for at least a month because the eccentric millionaire was robbed, and when they saw the poor guy who had just been given some money, they immediately blamed him for it. Upon eventually getting out, he sees the flower girl once again. She's clearly doing better, having apparently regained her vision, somehow. But before he does, he gets one more instance of being harmed just for being poor. These two little newsboys standing out on the street shoot him with paper spitballs because they get amusement from making fun of the poor guy. This is a world not meant for the poor, and he's hurt for it, despite him having been one of the only people to never really do anything wrong. At the very end, after he sees his love once more, the film gives us a crossroads ending. We don't know where the two of them will go next, only that they finally get to see one another. It's possible that now she knows he's not actually rich, the flower girl will just completely abandon him. I don't think so. I don't think that's what's gonna happen. Some people don't like this kind of ending. They think that because things are left open to interpretation, they don't know how to feel about it. No shade, but I can't say I feel the same way. Leaving things open-ended like this gives us the opportunity to look at things our own way and form our own views about how we think it actually goes in the end. For me, I think that the two of them remain friends for a long time in that perpetual state of, we could make this romantic, but we don't want to, so why would we? This is a film about a lot of things. In just about an hour and a half, Chaplin and his crew told the story of the Tramp helping people, of never being rewarded for it, and of being sent to prison. They told the story of him not just helping the flower girl, but giving her a reason to care about her life. They spoke the truth of the rich being no more deserving of wealth than anyone else, like a court jester telling off kings because they're the only ones who can. They showed fascinating social commentary and told a deep and compelling story despite the complete absence of spoken dialogue. All of that is how Charlie Chaplin made kindness shine amidst cruelty.